God be with you.
You said you'd return the favour if I put in a good word for you.
True, true. And I keep my promises.
So, what have you got for me?
Go to the armourer in Sasau and tell him that Cornelius and King Charles sent you. He'll understand. Got it?
Right. Cornelius and King Charles.
Miraculous ointments and remarkable remedies. Come closer, my friends. Marvel at the miraculous items on offer today for a fraction of their true value. Huh.
Vegetables,
I
fruit,
know you.
apples, cucumbers,
I know you
onions.
from somewhere.
Come get them.
Where do I know you from?
What?
Of course, my dream. You were in a boat
Have
made
a
of
look at
bone,
these cucumbers.
and I put a
They'll stay
crown of
firm all
thorns
winter.
on your head.
Buy them before...
I've heard you know of some irresistibility potion or whatever it is.
Ah, naturally, musk of infinite allure, an age-old recipe, maybe even older,
Carrots that'll
tested
make
by
you and your
Moses
family
himself.
happy.
Moses?
Onions that'll make you cry. And
How
garlic
do you
that'll
think he managed to get his
evil
people to
spirits
follow
at
him
bay?
through the desert for 40 years? It's extremely potent.
Yeah, so it would seem. How much do you want for it?
Who do you take me for? The wisdom of the ancients isn't something that's bought and sold in the marketplace. Did Jesus charge for his miracles? But since you ask, how about this much?
That's not much.
Really? All right, double then.
What? Why? You... Oh, why do I even bother?
If you like, I can mix the elixir for you in exchange for a small favor. But this is a matter that demands experience and knowledge of the philosophical arts that only a few possess. It's not a task I can trust to just anyone.
But to your apprentice, you can, right?
See, you read my mind.
All right. Tell me about this dream of yours.
That dream. Yes, that dream has come true. I dreamt that a young man would become my apprentice, my own pupil in the trade of miracles.
Oh, then I'm in luck.
On the contrary, I'm the lucky one. What's your name, young man?
Henry.
Henry.
Have a look at these
A
cucumbers.
powerful
They'll stay
name.
firm all winter.
So,
Buy
Henry,
them before someone
are you
else
ready
does.
to become my apprentice?
Go on.
First, I need a tooth
Garlic,
of Saint
carrots,
Procopius.
beetroot,
Then
onions,
I'll need a branch
all that
from a
comes
topping
from the
out
ground
hung
fresh.
on a church.
Come right up.
And finally, a talisman for luck from a passionate player.
Bloody hell, that's a lot. All right, one thing at a time. About that tooth. It's going to be slightly more
Onions that'll
complicated,
even make your
isn't it?
man cry like a little laugh.
Yes,
Come and
it
buy
would be
some.
very difficult to gain such a rare relic, of course. That's why I have an alternative solution.
I'm listening.
A layman named Procopius lives by the monastery, and it just so happens, thanks to my intricate medical knowledge, that I found out he has a sick tooth.
How did you find out he has a
Carrots
sore
that'll make
tooth?
you and your family happy.
As it happens,
Onions that'll
he
make
told
you
me at the
cry.
tavern.
And
But
garlic
that's
that'll
not
keep
important.
evil spirits.
And how am I supposed to get the tooth?
I haven't the faintest idea. You'll have to think of something. But maybe you'll be able to persuade him to let the blacksmith pull it.
Fine, I'll get it from him.
Wonderful.
This topping out, what's that?
You're not a carpenter, it seems.
Garlic soup
I'm a
for the
blacksmith.
winter, onion soup
I
for the
see.
spring.
Well,
asparagus for
a
taste,
topping
and
out is a
prunes for what
decorated
ails you.
spruce or
Try
a
them.
conifer tree hung on top of the roof of a new house to bring good fortune and God's blessing.
Very well, I'll get it. This
Buy
player's
them before
talisman,
someone else does.
where am I supposed to find it?
I actually have a specific one in mind. Here at the inn, there's a dice player who always has a cat's paw with him. That's supposed to bring him luck.
A cat's paw?
Garlic,
I thought players bring
carrot,
along a rabbit's
beetroot,
paw for luck.
onions, all that grows
I
in the
thought
ground
so
fresh.
too.
Come right
But
up.
this man is winning one game after another, so cats are clearly even more powerful than rabbits.
Oh. Very well, I'll get you the paw. I'll get looking for those things then.
Excellent! You do that, my journeyman. Good luck.
Jesus Christ be praised.
Do you make anything out of copper, Master?
I do a bit of Damascene decor sometimes. Why do you ask?
I'm looking for someone who could do me some copper sheets.
Well, that's pretty rough and ready work. I wouldn't waste my time with it. But go and ask Zach from the craftsman's yard by the monastery. He's bought up all the copper to be had around here anyway.
What can you tell me about the blacksmiths here in Sasau?
Depends which ones you mean. In the town there's Mikesh. He's a decent man and an honest craftsman. And in the yard by the monastery there's Zach. But there's not many good words I can say about him.
What about the monastery blacksmith, Zach?
Well, him and me don't exactly see eye to eye. He wanted to buy my business, but I turned him down. Ever since then, he hasn't had a good word to say about me.
That'll be all. Thank you.
Cornelius and King Charles.
My humble greetings. How may I serve you?
You must be that lucky fellow everyone's talking about.
Lady Luck has been good to me lately, sure enough. But that can change quicker than you know.
People say that you get help from a lucky charm.
Is that not allowed?
No, it is. It just interests me, that's all.
Why?
I'd like to try that luck of yours. Let's play for your talisman.
As you wish. My talisman against your groschen.
Sure. There'd be no point in it otherwise.
We'll see whose side Lady Luck is on. That's it. No point in pushing it. If I was in your shoes, I'd pass while the going's good. Ah, come on. It's time I had a throw. Use your head, man. You'll lose everything. Well, seems my luck's run out. Damn it. Seeing how I lost, I reckon that cat's paw don't bring luck anymore.
Not to you, anyway. So, thanks for the game.
God save you. What can I do for you?
It doesn't look good.
What? What are you talking about?
Your tooth. I bet it hurts a lot, doesn't it?
How do you know about that?
As a practitioner of the healing arts, I recognise the signs of a sick tooth. You have a bloated face, you're sweating, and the way you breathe is absolutely typical of the condition.
You're a physician?
Isn't that what I said? And if I can give you some advice, you should have it removed. There's a blacksmith down in the town.
No, no, no. There's no way I'm putting myself in the hands of that butcher.
I understand. But look here, I know about healing. I can go along with you and make sure everything goes as it should.
You do that?
Of course.
Jesus Christ. I'm a grown man and I need an escort.
You don't have to be embarrassed. Every man in the world's afraid of having his teeth pulled.
I know, but even so...
Let's go then, and get this over with.
Jesus. It's going to be really painful, isn't it?
Don't worry. It will hurt a little, but then you'll feel relieved. You'll see.
If you say so. I don't know. Isn't it a waste of time? Maybe it'll go away on its own.
Are you mad? It won't go away, it'll just get worse. The sooner we get it out, the better.
Yes, you're right. Look, I can't. It's embarrassing. I'm a coward and I won't be able to handle it.
We're almost there. Just be a man about it.
You're right. Let's go.
All right, let's do it. Hold him tight.
Let's do it.
Ah, look.
Jesus
It's
Christ,
out.
The agony.
Hey, want to keep it as a
What
memento?
did I do to
I love it.
this?
Oh, all right.
God be with you. What can I do for you?
I went to look for those items you wanted.
Splendid, splendid. So show me what you've got there.
The tooth of layman Procopius, which definitely isn't holy.
It isn't. But then again, one day it could be. You never know what course a man's life might take.
I suppose not. But it wasn't easy to get. So if anyone's the miracle worker here, it's me.
Calm now. Don't exaggerate.
One cat paw for luck.
Wonderful. How did you obtain it?
You wouldn't believe it. I won it from him.
Oh, no, you don't. Now the talisman won't bring its own luck anymore.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Oh, well, luckily it's a cat's paw, so it has other uses.
A branch from a blessed topping out.
Excellent. And how did you get it down?
I had to shoot it down.
Watch out for this man. He's a regular William Tell.
Well, there wasn't any other way.
So we've got all that sorted out. And now to the next man.
Go on. I'm shaking with anticipation.
There's one more thing. It's rather complicated and delicate.
What thing?
A shroud.
A shroud?
Yes. A burial shroud of someone who passed away not too long ago.
I'm just supposed to take a dead person's clothes.
Christ, no. I need a burial shroud. The precious enveloping garment in which the deceased is buried.
And does it matter who I take it from?
It needs to be someone who lived an honest life. And I have just the fellow. A good man by the name of Lokota who recently passed on.
Right. So where can I find him?
His family is waiting for the funeral. For now, he's lying in a small church in Sasa.
And who was this Lokata?
I know only a little, but according to the locals, he was an honorable man. You should certainly try to ask around.
Who's the man who died? The one who's lying in the church?
Oh, that was old Lokota. He was a respectable fellow.
And how did he make a living?
He was a butcher of some renown in the region.
Was he a local?
Oh, no. He came here from Vlashem because of an argument with his brother. We weren't too keen on him at first. His trade took customers away from our old butcher, you see. But we soon realized he was a decent man, and we all grew to love him.
It's a sad loss. What about his family?
His wife, Lucy, passed away a long time ago. Poor soul. He was never the same since then. He never laughed from the heart anymore. But he's left 2 sons behind, Peter and Mark.
What are his sons like?
Oh, they're sturdy men. Sturdy and straightforward. Mind you, Peter doesn't have any sense of humor that you'd notice. He takes everything as seriously as a sermon. Mark's a more open sort, and a little superstitious. Yeah, but don't make fun of him.
Thank you. That's all I needed to know.
I am at your service, Sir Knight.
My condolences.
Thank you.
The Lord be with you.
God be with you.
I see one of your kin's passed away.
My old father. We're all gonna miss him.
I see you're taking care of your father like a true Christian.
I'm trying. My father, God rest his soul, deserves nothing less.
How have you made sure his soul can depart peacefully?
He's lying in the church where someone from the family watches over him day and night. And the windows are wide open, so there's nothing to stop his soul from leaving.
And have you made atonement for his sins?
What? Why? Do you think that's necessary?
I'm sure he was a good Christian, but no man's entirely free of sin. If you want to be sure his soul can depart in peace, you'd be wise to take care of that.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, if my father's soul is at risk because of me, I'll never forgive myself. What should I do?
No, don't worry. It usually only requires a trifle. All you have to do is donate some of his belongings to those in need of charity.
Right. But what? Money? Or food?
Something more personal. Maybe his funeral shroud.
Of course. That's a good idea. I'll take it to someone needy right away.
I can bring it to them myself if you'd like. You can trust me.
You do that for me? Thank you. Go to the infirmary at the monastery. There's a lot of people in need there.
I have the...
Lord Almighty, be quiet! Not here! You don't want everyone to see it, do you? Wait for me at my place.
I have the shroud for you.
Have you now? Good work!
Yes, well, it wasn't easy.
I'm sure. That's also why...
That's where he lives! Let's teach him a lesson!
He's
Oh,
inside! I saw him go
Fuck!
in!
Henry! Delay them!
What? How?
There's a reward for you in the trunk. I'll see you in the next go.
Come on!
Break it down!
Do it!
What are you doing here?
He swindled me, too. I came here to throw his potions in his face, but it looks like he hasn't been home for a while. He probably ran away before his trickery could catch up with him.
Bastard! Either way, he'd better not show his face in this town again. Let's go!
So, what did Master Pfeiffer have to say?
I consulted him, and we definitely have a starting point.
Tell me more.
Master Pfeiffer found out they need copper sheets for the core of the coins, and quicksilver for the the other part?
I see. They have such materials at the monastery.
Exactly. That's why I'm interested in the local forges.
Yes, that is good. Yesterday, I heard people from the craftsman's yard by the monastery complaining. They said they could not sleep at night because the blacksmith works all the time till dawn.
I see. That's certainly worth asking about. Have you heard anything else?
You said they use quicksilver. There is a painter lodging here who is painting the church in Ujits. I heard him complain also. He said that he went to the monastery for quicksilver and it was all gone.
Well, that's something to follow up as well. Thanks.
I'm at your service, Sir Knight.
I hear you've had some problems with the supply of quicksilver.
Problems? I should say so. For the third time this month they've told me they've none. There's no quicksilver to be had, they said.
And who exactly are you talking about? Who's holding back the goods on you?
The monastery overseer, or his assistant, more like.
So what did the overseer have to say to you?
Nothing. Apparently he doesn't deal in such trifles. Leaves it all to his assistant, the pompous git.
Surely such valuable material can't just vanish. Where can it be?
I wish I knew. Every time I ask for the red pine, there's a different reason why they haven't got the quicksilver to mix it. Once they said the goods never arrived, and another time that the wagon carrying it was ambushed. Then it went astray somewhere.
And you think they're lying?
Jesus, what do I know? But it seems pretty strange to me. 3 times in a row the same thing goes missing. There's bad luck and then there's something else.
What do you need quicksilver for?
I don't. They do. To mix up the red pigment for me. I'm painting the church in Ujits. Can you imagine how stupid those biblical scenes look without red?
Not really.
Then be glad you can. My eyes hurt just to imagine it.
That's all I need to know for now.
Ah. But wouldn't you care to buy something before you go? Or play a game? I really need some money. I've been waiting here a while and my stay's getting expensive.
Why not? Show me what you have to offer.
All right, so.
God be with you.
I'm looking for some quicksilver. Would you have any on hand?
Talk to my assistant. He deals with such trivial matters.
Fine, thank you.
Good day to you.
Do you have any quicksilver in stock?
Who's asking?
I see. You can't because you don't have any. And you don't have any because you're selling it out the back door, eh?
Suppose I was. I don't see what business it is of yours.
What if I told you I'm the emissary of the royal hetman Radzig Kobyla, and you've got yourself mixed up with a counterfeiting gang?
Counterfeiters? Meaning what?
Somewhere around here is a counterfeiter's workshop. They need the quicksilver to make fake groschen.
Jesus. But I didn't know anything about any counterfeiting.
For your sake, I hope that's true. Now tell me what's been going on.
I swear, I wouldn't normally do anything like that.
Get to the point.
They came for me at noon, directly to the office. The overseer was somewhere on his rounds. Some night, it was, without a crest, armed. He called himself Sir Jezek, and he had a lackey with him called Rapota, a scruffy fellow with a yellow cape. Always whistling he was. They told me they wanted all the quicksilver we order for the monastery. Of course, I told him that wouldn't be possible.
And then what? Did they threaten you?
Not at first. They tried to bribe me, and when I refused, they started threatening.
What did they threaten you with?
They said they know people in the monastery, that they'd have me thrown out and beaten for stealing.
And you had been stealing? I mean, before then?
You know how it is. I work my fingers to the bone and they pay me a pittance.
So they knew about you?
Yes, they knew my name, everything.
How did you hand it over to them?
I take it up the hill behind the monastery here. There's a big tree there with a small chapel underneath. Sometimes Rapota is there waiting for me. If not, I leave it there.
Very well. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
No one to rob here. Fucking boring.
Why are you just sitting around?
Why not? Admiring the view. People just do not appreciate a lovely view these days.
Does the name Rapota ring any bells for you?
Rapota, you say? Rapota. No, I can't hear any bells ringing at all.
Look, you little jester, I'm investigating a crime against the king on the direct orders of Sir Radzig. Are you really going to keep pretending you don't know anything?
Hang on! What's all this about a crime against the king? I'm just keeping an eye on things. When a wagon comes in, I make sure nobody robs it. I get a commission for that, that's it.
See? That didn't hurt a bit. Who comes to fetch them?
I don't know. Some people. They don't speak, just look mean. Take the goods and go.
Where's Rapota?
I don't know. He's been staying in town lately. He hardly ever shows up here. It seems he's keeping an eye on someone there. I don't know who.
Bit of friendly advice. You're wasting your time here. Rappator's scarpered and won't be coming back this way anytime soon. You might as well pack up and go home.
What? That bastard owes me a dozen groschen. Damn it! Now what? Ah, well, no use hanging around here anyway. In any case, thanks for the information. I could have been stuck here for weeks.
God be with you.
Do you work any copper here, Master Blacksmith?
Why'd you ask?
I'd want to commission you to make something.
Then you'd best go elsewhere. I never use copper.
Aha. So back to that copper, Master Blacksmith.
What? I thought I told you I don't work with copper.
I grew up in a smithy, and I'm not stupid.
What do you mean?
I've never yet seen a forge where they worked after dark.
We have a lot to do.
Really? And what about that smell? Like I said, I was raised in a smithy. I know the whiff of smelting copper.
All right. I suppose there's no point lying. We do make copper sheets here, and I wanted to keep it quiet.
Why?
Pays me good money, and the people I do it for. I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of them.
If you lie down with dogs, you shouldn't complain about the fleas.
There's no need for threats. We can both benefit here. If I tell you everything I know, you can help me with a certain small matter. One that'll cover up for my loss of earnings.
So what are we talking about?
I recently tried to buy Master Armourer Otto Rabstein's business for my son Vitus, but that old fool wouldn't listen to reason. He said he couldn't understand his legacy being taken over by a clod like my Vitus. Despite the insult, I doubled my offer, but Master Otto still wouldn't budge.
And what is it you need from me?
I thought I'd show Otto that Vitus isn't such a dolt as he thinks, but for that I need someone experienced in combat.
Well, that doesn't sound so bad. What's your plan?
Otto's busy making a very pretty suit of armour for the bailiff, so I was thinking if we could show that pretty armour of his is absolutely useless, he'd be disgraced.
And how am I supposed to see to that?
Well, I'd reckon we'd arrange a duel of champions with bludgeons. You'll put on Vitus's armour, and Otto will send his champion in that tin shit of his. You invite the bailiff to watch, and Otto will be made a laughingstock in front of everyone.
Then what do I get out of it?
What we already agreed. I'll give up dealing in copper, and I'll tell you everything I know about what's been going on.
Agreed. I'll get to work on it.
Wonderful. Go to Otto first and talk him into it. Then go to the bailiff so he can announce it and get spectators. The more people see it, the better. We'll bring the armour to you at the combat arena.
I hope I can be of some humble service to you.
Master Armourer, I have a message for you from Blacksmith Zach.
If it's another one of his so-called generous offers, you can go straight back and tell him I'm not selling, and that's that.
No, this is another matter. Vitus wants to challenge you to a duel.
What? Me fight with that brat? Zack must have lost his mind entirely.
That's not how it will be. The real duel will be between your pieces of handiwork.
How's that?
It will be a duel with bludgeons. No bloodshed. At most, a few bruises and some dents in the armour. Zack chose me to wear Vitus armour.
And so I'm to choose a champion of my own? That sounds reasonable.
Good. So let's agree on the time and place.
Hold your horses, young fella. I've got a counter offer for you. Now, I'm sure Zach is paying you well.
Maybe I'm just doing it out of love for my neighbour.
Aye, a regular good Samaritan, no doubt. I could pay you more, and I'd tailor-make a cuirass just for you. What do you say?
You mean if I fight as your champion instead? I'm not sure how Zach would take it.
No, you fight on Zach's side and lose.
Nah, forget it. I won't sully my name with cheating.
Suit yourself. But my champion will batter you into the ground anyway, so you've nothing to gain.
So, choose the time and place.
What, me?
You're the one being challenged, so it's your right.
Well, it's all the same to me. Go and sort it out with the bailiff. He should know about it anyway, so I don't look like a troublemaker.
All right?
I'm honored that a knight such as you takes an interest in me.
I'm here on behalf of blacksmith Zach.
Zach? What does that madman want now? Don't tell me. It's another complaint about the master armorer. Well, you can tell Zach if you waste another minute of my time with that pathetic feud of his. I'll have him up for disrespecting the office of the bailiff.
No, it's not a complaint this time. In fact, Zach came up with an idea to settle the dispute once and for all.
Is that so? Well, that's a different kettle of fish. That's just what I was after. You have my full attention, friend. What's his plan?
A duel.
Jesus Christ! Has he lost his wits entirely?
Now, don't worry, Goodman Bailiff. No one will get killed. It will only be a duel with bludgeons. Zach chose me as his champion. I'll be wearing a suit of armour made by his son, Vitus, and I'll fight Otter's champion. Whoever falls first, loses.
That sounds like a fine spectacle for the village green. Naturally, I'll have to be present to ensure nothing untoward happens.
Your presence is certainly expected, Bailiff. We'd like you to referee the whole duel.
Very well. We'll have it on the marketplace in the front of the church. But when?
That's up to you.
We could announce it right now.
Let's do it.
I'll have it announced around town. You come along at just the right time. It'll be a fine show for the townsfolk, and I'll finally get that pair and their constant squabbling off my back.
Good citizens of Sasau, our township has long been plagued by a protracted dispute. As you are no doubt aware, Zach, the blacksmith of the monastery courtyard, and Master Armourer Otto Rabstein have been, for some time, at odds. And in so much as it behoves my office as bailiff to settle such disputes and maintain peace and order, I have decided to resolve the blacksmith's quarrel by unconventional means, whilst affording an entertaining spectacle. In short, we shall let them knock each other's teeth out. However, since it ill befits two respectable tradesmen to maul each other on the market square like a pair of cocks on a dung heap, each of them has elected a champion. Zach, the blacksmith, has appointed to fight in his stead Henry of Scarlet. And Master Otto Rabstein's champion will be... Please, introduce yourself, Sir Knight.
Master Otter will fight for Master Otter. I don't need some young pup to take my place.
I remind you that this will be a duel with bludgeons alone, and until first blood is shed. Come, folks, be sensible for heaven's sake. We don't want any maiming here, or, God forbid, murder. So, if both contestants are ready, let us begin. Come here, lily liver.
Take that! Now. Curse. Ha! God!
You kicked that old bastard's arse, Henry. His ears will be ringing for a month. Now everyone will see who knows how to make armour and who's all hot air.
You shouldn't speak so disrespectfully about Master Otter. He fought bravely.
No need to get worked up about it. You've got to savour the victory, haven't you? Anyway, come by the forge later for your reward, all right?
Good afternoon.
I'd like to order something here.
Uh-huh. And what do you want?
A bit of everything. Heal my wounds, have a proper bath. Oh, and my garments are in need of laundering.
I'm sure you'll be extremely satisfied. Goodbye.
I hope I can be of some humble service to you.
I'll come for my reward.
Of course. And thanks again, lad. It's worked wonders for my trade.
I'm glad your trade is going well. Now, about our little deal.
Ah, that little matter. Right.
So, out with it. How was it all arranged?
One evening I got a visit from this scruffy beggar calling himself Rapota. He had a yellow cape on and kept whistling to himself. There was a knight with him too, but he didn't give his name. They told me what I had to do, how much I'd get for it, and I had to keep my mouth shut.
And where can I find this Rapota? Or the knight?
I don't know exactly. But I've always left the wagon with the goods behind the monastery, on the hill there, next to a small chapel under a big tree.
Anything else?
No. I swear that's all I know.
Well, that'll do me for now.
Goodbye. Greetings. What business have you?
You look different, Master.
So as to fit in. I don't want it known that I'm in town.
Why?
I don't want to alarm our prey. Gossip spreads quickly, and if those scoundrels learn we're onto them, they'll flee.
That does make sense.
So what have you found out so far?
I found out where they get the copper sheets from.
Really? So tell me.
It's the smith on the monastery craftsman's yard. He supplies the counterfeiters.
Do you know how he gets the goods to them?
No. All I know is that someone called Rapota collected the goods.
Not much, but it's a start. At least it's not a common name. Listen, Henry, I had another thought on the way here. Those counterfeiters have to have a punch die to make the fake coins.
Yes, of course.
That's sophisticated work. There's a man I know who works at the monastery yard, Master Engraver Jerome of Silesia.
You don't suppose that he's...
No, not that, God forbid. I know him well. He'd never do anything like that. But he runs an engraving workshop, so he might have heard something.
Very well, I'll ask him.
But ask with tact. I don't want him getting offended. And I prefer you not to mention me at all.
I'll try to think of something. I found out where they get their quicksilver from. You were right, it was the monastery.
It was the only logical explanation.
It changed hands on the hill behind the monastery.
Have you been there to have a look around?
I have, but I didn't find anything interesting.
And have you found out who's behind it?
Rapota, once again.
The same scoundrel.
That's all.
I hope I can be of some humble service to you.
How goes the work, Master?
Getting there, getting there. You need something, my boy?
What are you doing here, anyway?
You're in an engraver's shop, my boy. We're engraving, of course.
Yeah, but engraving what? And what's it used for?
Oh, we engrave wood and stone as well as metal. Here in the monastery, it's mostly about decoration.
You've got quite a large workshop, Master. You don't do all the work alone, surely?
I'm usually here with my apprentice, Florian, Of course, by simple observation, you'll note that this is not currently the case, and I'm here alone, which means that either I'm a liar or something out of the ordinary has occurred.
I see. I think. So what's happened to Florian?
He shares the fate of the pharaohs for today. The 5th scourge of Egypt did smite him, the plague, or so his message advised me.
Jesus Christ, the plague?
Do remain calm. I'm quite certain the plague from which Florian is suffering wasn't a judgment from on high, or if it was a judgment on excessive drinking. I'm told such an ailment can be of truly biblical proportions.
What's he like, your apprentice, Florian?
I'm afraid that his exuberant youth has taken its toll. He's been acting strangely of late. I fear he has delusions of persecution.
I don't really know what you mean, at all.
Recently, for example, he told me that someone was following him, and the very next day he bought a padlock from the blacksmith and locked up his chest, as though I would ever sneak into it. In any case, why the interest? Are you looking for him?
Something like that.
May I ask why?
I have a message for him.
A message? Who would be interested in that wastrel? Other than his furious and deeply disappointed master, of course. About your question, you'll find him at home, no doubt feverishly dying. He sleeps in the baker's cellar.
Ah, thank you. Does Florian have any enemies?
A man such as he certainly owes money at every turn, and the parents of local girls are undoubtedly displeased with his attempts to propagate. However, most recently it was that fury from the baths who accosted him in quite a spectacular rage.
A woman from the baths? What did she do?
The harpy nearly tore all Florian's hair out. I don't frequently feel sorry for my ne'er-do-well apprentice, but on that occasion I made an exception.
Do you have any idea why she did it?
She was screaming about some girl, some flighty bathmaid, Esther. I would say that Florian had felt the joys of spring and acted accordingly, although one would have thought they'd be used to that sort of thing at the bathhouse.
Thank you. I'll leave you to your work.
Now, no staring at my breasts. Unless you're willing to pay, and then you can even touch them.
But look here, if I didn't care about the view while bathing, I'd get my old woman to fill up the pig trough with water and sit in it, looking at her miserable face. So stop moaning and do what you're paid for.
God save. How may I help you, good knight?
I hear you're at odds with apprentice Florian.
At odds? I'll give you at odds. It's that sod's fault they took my Esther. Poor girl. I shudder to think what's become of her.
I'm sorry they took her, but what exactly has it got to do with Florian?
They shouted at me to tell Florian that when he wises up, he'll get the girl back.
What did the bailiff make of it?
Don't even get me started on that. He's another fine... I won't say what. I told him everything, but he says he won't do nothing about it.
How's that then?
He wouldn't tell me to my face, of course. But people here don't think much of us. There's some as reckon my Esther deserves what she got. Poor girl.
I'm honored that you should come to me.
You look quite sprightly for an invalid.
What? Who the hell are you?
My name's Henry, and I'm making inquiries for Sir Radzig Kobyla.
And what do you want from me?
Straight to the point then. All right. I've been investigating counterfeit money, and the trail led me straight to you. Does the name Rapiter mean anything to you?
I don't know. Maybe?
Don't bother. I know you know him. You make the punch dies for the counterfeiters. How do you hand them over? Do you know where their workshop is?
I can't say anything. I'll deny everything and you've got nothing on me. No evidence, just accusations.
Counterfeiting is a crime against the king. I don't have to prove anything to have you dragged straight to the executioner.
And what if you're wrong? What's then? Under torture, everyone confesses, whether they did it or not. You'll never know for sure.
I already know for sure. You admitted it yourself a moment ago.
I won't tell you anything just the same. I can't, even if I wanted to.
Why not?
Those bastards kidnapped Esther. If I don't cooperate, they'll kill her.
I'm sorry about that.
Me too. Listen, I'll tell you everything, I promise. But only if I know that Esther's safe.
What, so I'm to go searching for her in the woods?
I know where they're keeping her, but nobody will help me. And what can puny little me do faced with those strapping great villains?
Very well. I'll bring back your Esther.
Really?
Yes, but then you have to tell me everything.
I will. I swear to God Almighty. Please, just bring her back to me. Nothing else matters.
Where are they keeping her?
In the Skalitz Hills. There are some abandoned cottages around the mines. That's where I saw her last. They took me there when I said they had to let me speak to her.
All right. I'll go there and try and think of something.
You're my saviour.
Don't get your hopes up. Anything could happen.
Good luck, then.
I might know where the materials from the monastery get passed on to the forgers.
Where?
Up the hill by Sasa Woods.
Certainly.
Shall we go right now?
Away.
No, I need to find out more. I don't even know if anyone will be there now, but you could keep an eye out there. In case anyone appears, I mean.
Agreed.
What are you doing here? Tired of life, are you?
Hordes. And war teaches people to forget quick enough.
You think there'll be war?
No doubt about it. Just take a look around. Everyone's doing as they please.
Aye. And we're as bad as any of them, if not worse.
Jesus, you're out of your head today. You may have had some rough times, but you've done what you wanted your entire life. Plenty of others only do as they're told. And they certainly aren't any better off.
But that's what's so horrible if you think about it. Take the girl, for example. Think they'll allow us to let her go?
I doubt it. And if they give the word, we'll kill her. It's not the first time we've shed innocent blood, but they bear the blame. We're just following orders.
That's what I'm talking about. What kind of freedom is that? We follow orders just like everyone else and get nothing from it. Except the promise of hellfire.
Jesus. Go and see the priest and for God's sake, stop blabbering on. I'm tired of it.
What's that? What's going on there? The answer to my prayers, just when I wanted to vent my rage on something. Over here! Where is everyone? Quick! Alarm! Get over here! Alarm!
Shit!
You won't last long!
Doperdelle!
Now. What's up? Shit yourself?
You'll get what for?
Please. Mercy.
Tell me what you know, and we'll see.
Of course, of course. What do you want to know?
Where's your workshop?
In the mines.
The mines are bloody enormous. I need a bit more than that.
It's in an abandoned shaft. Outside there's a camp, but I was only there once at night. When they wanted us at the workshop, we went the back way.
The back way?
Aye. Not too far from here, there's a ventilation shaft. We marked the tunnels with chalk.
That will take me all the way to the workshop.
It will. Just be sure to keep the markings on your right.
Got it. Who hired you?
A knight. His name's Jezek of Ronov.
This Jezek, what can you tell me about him? Is he a nobleman?
So he claims. Sir Jezek of Ronov, he calls himself. I think he's from Moravia originally. The lad said he's a terror in those parts.
Yeah, I never would have guessed.
Margrave Jobst had Ronov Castle razed, though. It ain't nothing but a ruin now.
What do you know about counterfeiting money?
Hardly anything. I know they do it in the workshop and they make a bloody good job of it. I always double-check any coin I get from them.
And you don't know anything else?
No. We were hired near Kuttenberg by that fellow Jezek. We were supposed to kidnap the girl and keep her here, that's all.
And what shall I do with you now?
What? You'll let me go, won't you? Of course you will. You gave me your word.
That's true. Go.
Thank you, thank you.
They won't hurt you now.
However did you find me?
Florian told me where they took you.
I'm a fool. I thought he was just a dandy, God knows why. And it turns out he's a villain in league with thieves. And a coward, too. This whole time he knew where I was.
You're right. If I were him, nothing could have stopped me coming for you.
Exactly. What a pathetic coward. We should probably set off.
I'll go with you. I'd hate to lose you on the way.
I hope I can be of help to you, Knight.
I found that Esther of yours.
I know! Back already. How can I ever thank you?
By telling me all about the goings-on with Rapata.
They found me in the tavern one evening, caught me when I went to the ship pile. They started to badger me about working for them.
They?
Yes, Rapata. And a knight they called Sir Jezek.
And then what?
They explained what they wanted from me, and I told them to sod off.
I'm guessing that didn't go down too well.
It wasn't all that bad. They just threw me on the dung heap and left. I thought it was just a drunkard's joke. But then they took Esther.
Why didn't you tell anyone?
At first, I took it for a bad joke. And then, when they snatched Esther, there was nothing to be done.
Where will I find Rapata?
He's usually wherever I am.
What does that mean?
He watches me. Everywhere I go. And when I'm at home, he sits on the bench in the square, watching my house.
So he's there now?
Hard to say. Sometimes I see him in the tavern on the green, buying supplies.
All right. At least I know where to start. And you go to work tomorrow, you hear?
Why?
Because we have to lure him out. And besides, your master will surely be glad to see you.
I have my doubts.
I suppose I'd better go. I'd hate the bastard to get away.
Good luck, and thanks for the help. God be with you.
Got it for you right here. Here we are.
Are you Rapata by any chance?
Pardon me? Do we know each other?
No, but I'm hoping to change that.
Well, I don't have much time right now. I'd best be off.
It'll only take a moment.
All right then. What do you want?
I know you buy quicksilver for those counterfeiters.
It seems there's no point making excuses.
None. Now tell me where their workshop is.
Of course. That will be the best solution.
So?
Let's leave it for another time.
No, I give up.
So, Are you ready to talk?
I will. Just don't hurt me, please. What do you want from me?
Tell me where the workshop is. Don't worry. Your master won't be punishing you for betraying him. You're both going to have too many other problems.
It's in the Skullet's mines.
That doesn't narrow it down very much.
On the eastern side of Skullet's Hill, there's an abandoned mine gallery. Well, it used to be abandoned. Now there's a small camp in front of it, and the workshop is inside.
Who is your lord?
Sir Jezek of Ronov. That's what he calls himself, although Ronov Castle's long gone.
What happened to it?
Ronov used to belong to Vincent, Count Lichtenberg. After his death, it fell to Margrave Jobst, and he had it pulled down. He knew full well that Vincent's vassals would resist him.
Why? Everyone knows that when a lord dies without issue, the king can confer his estate on whoever he pleases.
But Vincent had descendants. Ronov only fell to the Margrave because he declared them all illegitimate. All because Vincent had refused to fight for him against Sir Prokop. Sir Jezek led a revolt of the vassals, but Jobst rounded them all up. Only Sir Jezek got away. Since then, he's become the scourge of the domain.
So who's Sir Jezek working for? Don't tell me he just took it into his head one day to start forging coins.
That's not for me to know. Sir Jezek was on speaking terms with various lordships.
Such as?
We were often guests at the monastery, but I slept in the hayloft, so I heard nothing.
And apart from that?
In the camp, you'd occasionally see a Hungarian nobleman, but I don't know what he was doing there, or who he is.
Who are you, anyway?
They call me Rapota. I used to be the executioner's henchman in Brno.
And how did you come to be serving Sir Jezek?
I helped him escape from prison. If I was going to serve anyone, better Sir Jezek than the executioner.
So you saw being a brigand's henchman as a step up in the world?
I thought if things changed and he stopped marauding, he might get Ronov back and take me into his service.
Well, after this little escapade, you can forget about that. You'll be lucky if you don't end up swinging on the gallows.
It's all the same anyway now. I've betrayed him.
I think I've heard enough.
Can I ask you something?
Yes?
I don't want to hang. It's a horrible death. I prefer you just kill me here and now.
Ah, you're not worth tainting my sword with your blood. Now get lost before I change my mind. I finally found out where the forger's workshop is. Master Fafar was right. The forgers are sticking close to the supply source. Their workshop is somewhere in the mines. The entrance is on the eastern side of the hill. I've no idea what to expect there, but I'd rather go there with some backup.
I will be glad to give it. Lead on.
Tired of life, are you? Hey, all of you! Gather here! Raise the alarm!
Get over here!
Hurry home. God damn! Is that
You'll get what's for.
What's the matter?
Bring it on. I'm going to enjoy this.
Fuck! You gonna cry now? You've got to be kidding.
Well, I never. The pig turns up willingly for the slaughter. Let's finish this quickly.
All right, you win.
Jesus Christ. Who are you and what are you doing here?
I'm here at the command of the royal hetman, Sir Radzig Kabila.
And who's he?
That's no concern of yours.
I'm sure we could come to some sort of agreement. I have plenty of coin.
We can come to an agreement that you'll keep your mouth shut. Please, don't take this personally.
Wait!
What? Do you want to do it? Be my guest. It gives me no pleasure.
You can't kill him. I have orders to take him to Rattay.
That is unfortunate. I have orders to kill everyone involved in this business.
You can't do that!
I have no choice, as you are aware.
Why do you want to kill him? He may have valuable information.
For that exact reason. My master does not wish this man to fall into the wrong hands, especially those of Radzig Kabila.
You're a traitor.
The world is not so black and white, boy. We were on the same side for a while, but no longer. That is how it goes.
You don't have to go back to the Rosenbergs.
How do you know about the Rosenbergs?
Master Fayfire recognized the writing on your letter of passage.
Just as I said, there is nothing safe from prying eyes in this land. And where would you suggest I go?
Into Sir Radzig's service. He needs people like you.
I serve Kabila. Out of the question. If he learned of all that I did for the Rosenbergs, he would hang me from the nearest tree. But you are right, I do not have to return to the Rosenbergs. In fact, I cannot.
Why not?
I am a knight without a crest, without allegiance. No one was meant to know whom I serve. If the Rosenbergs hear that I have been found out, they will see to it I vanish. They cannot afford to be associated with me.
Where will you go then?
Where the road takes me, as I have many times before. Farewell, Henry.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Please, please, I'm sure we can come to some sort of agreement.
You can talk all you like, but not here and not to me. Let's go. Let's go. Master Fayfire is very keen to meet you.
Good work, Henry.
Thank you, Master Fayfire. It wasn't easy, I can tell you.
I'll take some men and have a good look around there.
And what should I do?
You should get some rest and go to Rattay. In the meantime, Sir Radzig will have this wretch questioned. Maybe he'll get something useful out of him.
All right. I'll see you in Rattay then.
Mandrake roots taken straight from the gallows at midnight. Powder made of the bones of St. Thomas. Rare merchandise from all over the world. The relics of saints from Italy. Altar candles from France. And pieces of cloth all the way from the Holy Land.
Well, well, who have we here?
Ah, the prodigal son returns. I knew you'd come back to me one day.
Let me guess, you saw it in a dream?
I knew you were going to say that.
But I had a divine revelation. That next time I won't be around to pull you out of the shit.
Oh, well, I am sorry. But these things are sent to try our fortitude in the face of adversity.
I'd like to try your fortitude. So what is it you want from me now?
Ah, my dear apprentice, everything's gone to the devil. I'm living from hand to mouth, sleeping on straw, and the local peasants won't buy from me. They say they don't trust me, as if I was some kind of charlatan. Can you believe it? Does this look to you like the face of a swindler? I'm an honest trader in sacred goods, whose only concern is the welfare of troubled souls. And any time now the slanderous gossip will spread here from Sassau. I should leave before things get worse. But I can't go anywhere until I've made a bit of coin. So what's needed is to give the locals a bit of encouragement, to open their hearts and purses.
I'm not going to go around beating people for you.
What do you take me for? I wouldn't hurt a fly. Violence is for the dull-witted. We must gently demonstrate to them the necessity of buying my remedies. For example, to ward off a revenant.
Revenant? What revenant?
The dead, returned from the grave. A corpse that the soul is unable to depart from, which wanders among the living, filled with rage at its wretched fate.
Yeah, I saw something like that once. But it was just some drunk going home from the tavern after losing all his money at dice.
Don't make light of such things. Now tell me, do you know how to deal with a revenant?
Set fire to it and piss on it?
You're not taking this seriously at all, are you? You are my trained apprentice, but the ignorant villager is entirely at a loss how to deal with such dark forces. It is our sacred duty to prepare them for such threats.
And how do you propose to do that?
Well, they're all doubting Thomases. They need proof. We'll need a grave, an empty grave that we can use. There's one along the way to Sassau, but it's got one minor shortcoming.
What's that?
Well, it's not entirely empty.
Not entirely? What does that mean?
You have to dig it up first.
Why this particular grave?
The locals don't like to talk about it, so it's surely got some sinister past behind it. And in places like that, revenants sprout up like mushrooms after rain.
Well, if that's how it is, we could open old wounds. That could easily set people against us. Again.
Then it would be best if no one could connect us to it, wouldn't it?
I'll need a spade then.
Yes, dig it up and remove the remains, leaving no trace.
And what am I to do with the remains?
Keep them. Human remains are always handy to have around.
Great. And how do we spread the word of this revenant?
There's a gossip in every village. Here, too, a woman who'll spread news quicker than a dozen messengers on the fastest steeds.
Where does this woman live?
The last house on the left, on the road to Sassau. She was the first person I met here, and by the time I reached the village green, I already had a mob looking suspiciously at me. The rumor-mongering fishwife.
And what am I to tell this gossip?
All you have to do is casually mention the empty grave, and before evening, I'll wager the whole village will know about it.
And that's all?
Not quite. You should ask her who was buried there. So we've got a story to work with.
So, dig up the grave, talk to the gossip.
And the remains. Don't forget to remove them. Otherwise, no one will believe in the revenant.
I might have known any task for Capon would turn into some insane escapade. Grave robbing. Jesus. God be with you, good wife. Has something happened here?
Heavens, no. It's quiet here, unlike some other places.
And what about that empty grave?
What empty grave would that be now?
The one beyond the village, alongside the road to Sasau. Just by the river, on the Pine Headland.
How would you know it's empty, unless it was dug up?
Oh, it's dug up, all right. Freshly. And empty. I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
Lord in heaven, what in the name of...
How come it's not in hallowed ground, anyway? Only unrepentant sinners are buried like that. Usually.
I don't like to say. It's an old wound that's best forgotten.
Whose grave is it?
Well, once a long time ago there was a young charcoal burner living here with his wife. There was always a lot of charcoal burners here, but this fellow worked alone. That's not an easy job for one man.
Well, no one wanted to work with him, or what?
Oh, he was a hard-headed fellow who always wanted to take care of his family himself.
Well, only then you've no one to blame but yourself if you end up alone.
His wife was expecting, though no one knew it yet. And he wasn't doing well at all. Soon enough they had nothing to eat. And so he took to thieving.
Well, thieving is wrong.
Aye, but when there's a child on the way and your wife hasn't the strength to get out of bed for the hunger, well, you ought to think differently.
And did he get caught?
Well, at first it was just a few eggs going missing from people's hen coops. But then it was anything that wasn't nailed down. And in the end, they caught him.
And I suppose he was harshly punished for it.
Even then he didn't let on why he was doing it. They whipped the skin off his back and banished him from Ledetchko.
So justice was done then?
It wasn't enough for some folk. When the butcher found out he'd never get any compensation, he wanted them to chop off the charcoal burner's hands. If the bailiff hadn't talked sense into him, he'd have done it himself with his cleaver.
Well, he got off lightly enough then.
And in the end, he got what was coming to him, and more.
The butcher caught up with him?
No, no. It was the mills of God turning slowly but surely. His wife bled to death in childbirth, and the child died with her.
God have mercy on their souls.
Amen.
Nothing could have been done to save them?
There was no one there. He had no one who would care for his wife. They say on that day he parted ways with God forever, and he turned his back on the village too. I reckon he never forgave himself, nor us either.
The Lord moves in mysterious ways. But how did he end up?
Don't ask me that, lad. I beg you.
Come now, good wife. You can't leave the story unfinished.
I said no. Will you let it lie?
God be with you.
I know who was buried in that grave. A young charcoal burner.
So begins the tragic tale of the young charcoal burner who became entangled with the devil himself.
Oh, don't start. What devil? I'm trying to tell you... He was from Ledetchko. He was trying to eke out a living for himself and his wife, but he couldn't manage. When she fell pregnant, he took to stealing.
Pride drove him from the straight and narrow path, and soon he sold his soul to the devil to fill his stomach.
They caught him and punished him, but some of the people he'd robbed didn't think it was enough. Then when his wife died in childbirth, and the child too, he blamed everyone for it. Even God, apparently.
But when the time came to pay his debt to hell, the devil had no use for his soul, and took his wife and child instead. The charcoal burner cursed God, who struck him down in righteous vengeance. But the dead man's soul never left his body. He came back as a revenant to vent his rage at God and men and take vengeance on the living.
Jesus, did you listen to what I said at all?
Sorry, did you say something?
Oh, never mind. What do you want me to do with it?
Well, the question is, what would the revenant do to get revenge on the villagers? Well, apprentice?
The gossip mentioned the butcher. It seems he was infuriated that the charcoal burner's punishment was too lenient.
And the revenant spoiled their meat with his malign touch.
How's that?
Spoiled meat is a classic example of a revenant's power.
Huh. I thought it was the work of bad butchers.
That too, sometimes.
So, I should switch the good meat for bad at the butcher's.
But make sure it's the same kind of meat. Not even a revenant will turn a cow into a chicken.
He was stealing food from people, right? So, supposing he started again.
We should steal from people? Disgraceful. Have you no shame?
Maybe just a few eggs from hen coops, like the gossip mentioned.
Well, that wouldn't be too serious a sin. Will they put it down to the revenant, though?
They would, if I put some charcoal there instead.
And their nourishment he turned into ash.
He cursed God. That's very serious.
What is it that most brings God to mind?
They don't have a church there. But everyone will have a rosary. I can't think of anything else.
That's it! If folks start losing their rosaries, they'll have sleepless nights over it.
You want me to steal rosaries? But that's...
Or just exchange them.
For what?
For nothing.
Great. What about his wife and child? No doubt he'd want to avenge their death.
Well, how did they die?
In childbirth.
And when his love turned to rage, the water turned to blood. Nothing too original. But it's tried and tested. If you do it at the baths, everyone will hear of it.
How am I supposed to do that? It might be a bit suspicious if I'm seen walking around with a pail of blood.
No problem. There's a certain potion that will do the trick easily. So, switch eggs for charcoal, switch the meat, color the water in the baths, and switch the rosaries. That ought to do it. I hope so. Of course, if you come up with anything else, don't let me hold you back. Talking to people might give you ideas. Traders, the bailiff.
Well, what if someone sees me in the act?
They mustn't. Otherwise, it'll end up like Sasau all over again. Don't draw attention to yourself, or they'll put two and two together.
Sure. I'll keep my head down. And how will I know if I've succeeded? I doubt it'll be announced on the market square.
I'll be the first to know. They'll come running to me for a remedy, like hens at feeding time. Off you go and raise hell.
Right, I'll get to it then. Have you got a bed for the night?
I suppose I could find something. For how long?
Just the one night.
All right. Money up front, though.
Here you are.
You'll like it here. Like sleeping on a cloud it is.
What's the recipe for that potion you were talking about?
You mean for coloring the water? Ah, well...
Well?
Pay close attention now.
I'm all ears.
How love turned to bloodshed. Once there was a knight who, though upright and noble-looking, had a prickly, unapproachable appearance. He fell in love with a fragile young maid, whom he saw with her sisters in a field, all wearing bright red wimples. But he was afraid his prickly exterior would frighten her. So he asked the advice of another knight, a pious and learned crusader, who carried the name of the patron saint of his order with pride. The pious knight told him he would arrange a rendezvous with the maid. All three would drink wine together by the river, and he would help his friend to get acquainted with her. This they did, but the maid fell in love instead with the pious knight. The stern knight was enraged and challenged his rival to a duel. The two fought long and fiercely, but they were equally matched, and so, in the end, they both fell mortally wounded. Anguished at the tragedy her beauty had caused, the young maid took a dagger from one of the knights and plunged it into her own heart. Their bodies lay together on the ground, and the blood flowed from them into the river, turning the waters crimson.
I thought you were going to tell me the recipe, not some fable.
It is the recipe. I mean, the recipe is concealed in the story.
What on earth for?
So I don't forget it.
All right. So what does it mean?
I can't remember.
Great. So if you don't know, who does?
You'll figure it out, my loyal apprentice. I remember there are 3 plants in the story, but that's about all. But I know it was a simple recipe. It should be enough to grind the ingredients and brew them together for one turn. So, all you have to do is work out what the ingredients are from the story.
Sure. Why make things simple if you can complicate them? What about the dead man's remains?
You still have them?
No, you said to keep them. What do I do with them now?
I'll buy them from you.
What on earth for?
The bones of a revenant. Those can be valuable goods. What do you say?
I think I'd rather bury them.
You could. But what a waste. Imagine the power they could have.
At least the poor wretch will have peace at last.
Maybe. As long as you bury him in hallowed ground. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
Like in Rattay, maybe?
Well, that's probably the nearest. That gossip-mongering crone would know.
True, I could ask her.
If you must. But for heaven's sake, don't even hint to her what you're up to.
Good wife.
Yes, lad. What can I do for you?
You know, I can't stop thinking about what happened to that poor wretch.
Have you no consideration for a poor old woman? I told you I don't want to talk about it.
It might relieve you to talk to someone.
Relieve me from what?
Well, guilt.
Guilt? Why should I feel guilty?
Well, clearly something weighs heavy on your soul, just like the other villagers. The older ones. And I'd say it's connected to that empty grave. Well, that wretch returns as a revenant, and no one does anything. It's not just fear, but more like everyone is expecting some punishment that was bound to come one day.
Oh, you might be right. Maybe it would give me some peace in my old age to finally tell the whole story. Several people from the village went to have it out with Lev, but he grabbed an axe and drove them off. He swore if anyone came near him, he'd burn their house down. Then he buried his wife and child in the meadows beyond Ledetchko. I saw him carving 3 statues there.
Lev, you say his name was? What kind of statues?
There's 3 roughly carved beams there, each with a human face, except the smallest, which has no face at all.
For the stillborn child, I suppose. What happened then?
Nothing. He went back to his work, but never spoke to the villagers again. He'd even go all the way to Rattay for food, rather than talk to anyone here.
So he died alone in the end?
Actually, it was the villagers. It was us that killed him.
What? Just on account of his stealing?
No. Not long after, fires started springing up in the village. And when the first house burned down, the folk were very angry.
And of course suspicion fell on Lev.
Everyone was dead certain it was him. They all remembered his words. Do you know how arsonists are punished, lad?
No, I don't.
By burning on the pyre. But no one wanted to waste time with the law. We just went to his house at night, smashed in the door and windows, and threw lighting torches inside. And that was the end of him. But the fires didn't stop.
So he was innocent?
He was.
Well, I won't condemn you for it. It's for God to judge, but may he forgive you for it.
Thanks, lad. I pray every day for forgiveness, and it's a weight off my shoulders to tell someone.
Rest in peace. And I'll need lots of it if I'm to switch it all. There were chickens, for sure. It's roe deer venison, for sure. Someone's been poaching. So, how am I doing so far?
Good work, Henry. The whole village is shaking in its boots. Soon people won't step outside the door without saying 3 Hail Marys.
Ugh, I'm glad to hear it. I'm beginning to feel haunted myself.
Everyone is talking about how all the butcher's meat went off after being touched by the hand of evil.
What, does this look like the hand of evil to you?
The baths are closed. No one will tell you why, but everyone is clearly frightened. Half the village is without rosaries. Someone even wanted to buy one from me.
And did you sell it?
I don't trade in such banal goods. But I sold him a cat's paw.
I didn't know a cat's paw was good for warding off revenants.
Henry, all the goods I have are good for warding off revenants. No one in Ledechko would eat a single egg, even if they had any, because all the hens are hexed.
Well, at least they've got fuel for their fires. So, the job is done, eh?
Not quite.
But you just said the whole village is shaking with fear.
The whole village, but for one individual.
Well, surely that doesn't matter.
That's what I thought too. Only this fellow is giving everyone the benefit of his wisdom. He needs shaking up, before he undoes your good work.
But if he's not been scared yet, what more can I do to frighten him?
Well, when he's not hanging around here ruining my trade, he's in the tavern boasting that he'd happily sleep by that empty grave to prove there's no revenant.
Yeah, I bet he would.
Exactly. He just needs a little persuasion. And once he's there, make it the most terrifying night of his life.
Well, what are we waiting for then?
It's best to be well prepared. You ought to find out something about him, so there's no surprises.
The gossip woman?
Naturally. And Henry, before we get to that grave, you can still try and come up with more ways to frighten the villagers. The more terrified they are, the more groschen there'll be in it for me. For us, that is.
Good wife.
You're still here, lad? I thought you'd have fled by now.
Fled? Why on earth would I do that?
Because there's a revenant on the prowl. The whole village is talking about it, and everyone is terrified.
Ah, that. But I heard there's one brave lad who's not afraid.
You mean Felix?
Well, I don't know what his name is, but he's always arguing in the tavern that there's no revenant.
That's him. The fool doesn't believe what's going on under his own nose. He hasn't the sense he was born with.
He even said he'd spend the night at the graveside, just to prove there's no revenant.
Aye, all talk and no action.
Is he brave or just stupid? Surely he's afraid of something.
I couldn't tell you. But if he's to be believed, he doesn't fear the devil himself.
And do you believe him?
Well, it's true he never seems bothered by anything. But then he's always with that other pair.
What pair?
2 mates of his.
But he was alone in the tavern.
Aye, they're not locals, but outside the village, wherever he goes, they go with him.
Who are these 2 fellas?
They're not bad lads, but they're no heroes, that's for sure.
How's that?
Them 2 have their fears, but then who doesn't?
What are they afraid of?
The first one wouldn't even go into the woods alone, because he's afraid of wild animals.
Ah, is that so? I wonder why.
He got lost in the forest as a young lad, and he wasn't found till next morning. Shaking and pale as a ghost he was when they found him.
A village boy? Scared of the woods?
You're not very smart, are you?
Why'd you say that?
Oh, never mind.
What about the other one?
He's afraid of fire.
Why?
His own father burned him, God forgive him. As a young lad, he was playing with fire and nearly set fire to the house. So his pa taught him a lesson he wouldn't forget.
Poor lad. That's a terrible way to teach a child.
My words, exactly.
Ah, it's been an interesting chat. Thanks, good wife. This brave fella, Felix his name is, if we can get him to spend the night at the grave, he won't be alone. Wherever he goes, he always has 2 mates tagging along.
Like he's afraid to be alone.
Could be.
So, if we could get him there alone, it shouldn't be too hard to scare him.
Well, maybe, maybe not. He claims he's not afraid of anything.
That's easy to say. I'm not so sure. Only, we have to get rid of the other 2. What do you know about them?
One of them is afraid of wild animals. Won't even go into the woods on his own.
I see. And the other one?
Well, he's afraid of fire, but I doubt an ordinary campfire would do the trick.
Well, we'll think of something. Anyway, you take care of the first one.
How, though?
Haven't you learned anything from me? Talk to a dog.
Of course. Why didn't I think of that? Any particular one, Master?
The most frightening one, of course.
And how am I supposed to recognise him? One looks the same as another.
By his bark, naturally. Can't you hear him? He'd scare the wits out of anyone.
That's a dog.
Either that or Satan in the guise of a beast.
All right. And what do I do with him?
Have a conversation with him and see if you can mimic his bark.
Yeah, great idea. People will think I'm barking mad.
Hey! Who's there?
Come on then. Bark. What a beast you are. All right, let's see. Ruff. Ruff. Again. Boo. Boo. Woo. Woo. Boo. 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 That's still not quite it. Yeah. Boo. Boo. No. Boo.
Hey!
Boo. 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 That's it. And now I'm officially the village idiot.
So, how did you get on?
I found that mutt. Although from the noises it made, you'd hardly guess it was a dog.
So you've learned to bark?
I have, master.
So bark.
I never thought I'd stoop so low. Boo! Boo!
Perfect!
But what if it's not enough?
Ah, ye of little faith. Besides, can you think of any other way?
If we want to have him there on his own, I could always knock the other two out.
And what if he finds them unconscious?
I can always haul them off somewhere he won't find them.
Just make sure you don't botch it, Henry. It could easily turn very sour.
Don't worry. But what about the other fella?
Ah, yes, apprentice. You have the good fortune to witness a genius at work. Watch and learn. An oil lamp.
An oil lamp?
Precisely. Isn't it ingenious?
A marvellous invention, I grant you. But what do you want to do with it?
That's the clever part. I've hung a lamp like this over the Revenant's grave. All you have to do is shoot it down. It'll fall on the grave and burst into flames.
Well, that could work. Only...
Only what?
How can you be sure I'll manage to shoot it down?
I believe in you, Henry. You're my apprentice, versed in the ways of our craft.
Right, I almost forgot.
Anyway, you can practice. The lamp is already hanging up. It just hasn't been lit yet.
Aye, I'll give it a go. And then what?
Then you just have to goad our Felix into putting his money where his mouth is.
But what if he doesn't fall for it?
Refusing would ruin his credibility. Go and see him. I'll bet you anything, if you present it right, he'll jump at it.
All right, I'll give it a try.
Good. Don't delay, though. Practice with the lamp first, if you like, or just go straight to him.
Here you are, and good health.
I've heard there's a revenant haunting these parts.
Ah, you don't want to believe those old wives' tales.
Well, it's not true, then.
Of course not. It's just a lot of fairy tales.
You're kind of sure of yourself, aren't you?
That I am. And what's it to you?
Nothing. It's just that, well, bold talk doesn't prove anything.
Are you saying I'm lying?
Well, can you prove your claims?
What?
Well, supposing you spent the night at that grave, like you say. That'd prove there's no revenant, wouldn't it?
You reckon so? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Besides, since you're so fearless, it'd be nothing to you, right?
I'll bring it right away.
That's right.
How about something to buck up your courage? Ah, probably not. You don't need it.
I don't, but it can't hurt. Thanks, Em.
So when are you going to do it?
Just as soon as I can in the evening.
Right. And now you can... Shh! Quiet, Henry. You'll give us away.
Sorry. What's that you're wearing?
What do you think it is?
I don't know, some new fashion?
It's my Revenant costume, of course.
My apologies, Master, for not recognising it immediately.
You obviously still have a lot to learn. So, did they come?
Yes, all three. They're camping at the top of the hill.
Right. I'll have time to get haunting then. Where do I start?
I'll leave that up to you. The main thing is to scare off the two cronies first. I'll take care of fearless Felix.
So I'll scare one off with the lamp?
Yes, just make sure no one sees you shooting.
And the other one with fearsome noises?
That will probably take a few attempts. Ideally, a bit at a time.
Let him work up an appetite for more, so to speak.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Just don't give yourself away.
I won't, but if they do happen to see me coming...
Then you'd better vanish like a wisp of smoke, or make some excuse.
And what will you be doing?
I'll wait somewhere out of the way for a while, and then I'll crash in. So make sure the other two are gone by then.
All right.
Are you sure it was a good idea? Coming here at night?
Ah, nonsense. What's there to be afraid of here?
Well, wolves for one thing.
And have you ever seen a wolf around here?
No, but I heard them.
Calm down. If we chicken out, we'll be the laughing stock of Ledechko.
I suppose so.
Well then, get a grip on yourself.
Felix.
Aye, what is it?
Did you bring your rosary?
No. What for?
For protection.
Protection from what?
I don't know. What if there really is a revenant?
Christ, man. I thought you had more sense.
Hey, what was that? A wolf? No, it can't. Christ, that noise again. What the?
What's that noise?
What
What kind of animal makes a noise like that? That's a strange sound.
No, please, God,
An animal,
no.
I suppose.
I can't stand this. No, no, please, no. They're everywhere. They'll devour me. Jesus Christ, I've got to get away from here.
Where did that fire come from? Jesus, no. Not fire. No, 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 no.
Rawr! Rawr!
What are you?
What do you want from me? I didn't do anything. That was something.
How did you like that, eh?
Wonderful! I haven't had so much fun since I dressed up as the Pope.
Did you see him run? Like all the demons of hell were on their heels.
One was quite enough, evidently.
So what now?
Now I just wait for my customers to turn up. Come and see me tomorrow before noon, and you'll get your well-earned reward. Ah, my dear apprentice, how happy I am to see you.
So, it all worked out then?
Like a dream. I didn't sell half as much in Sasau.
That's good news. Now, about that thing you promised me.
Your well-deserved reward, certainly. Here you have it. Here's something extra for you. I sold a lot more than I expected, and I think it's all thanks to you.
What will you do now?
I could go now. I've coin enough, but I'll wait a while before moving on.
Why? I thought you didn't want to stay too close to Sasau for long.
But what if you needed my help?
Indeed. How could I forget all you've done for me? Well, at least I'll know where to find you.